Resident Evil 7 is not a good Resident Evil game. Thank you for your comment telling me why I'm wrong, myself and the YouTube algorithm promoting my video, thank you. But no, for real, let's be serious. A lot of my comments ask me why I don't like Resident Evil 7, but still think it's a good game, but not a good Resident Evil game. So I decided I'd take a moment to explain my feelings through comedy, logic, and history. Sit back, relax, and let's get sweaty. So let's kick it back to my start of Resident Evil, which was the GameCube as a player, but the PlayStation 1 as a viewer. My mother had me when she was young, and my uncle was a teenager at the time, and he had a magical gray box that played Spyro, Crash, WCW, and Resident Evil. I fell in love with all 4 series, but of course I was a baby, so I don't remember much of it, but on GameCube, I had Resident Evil 0 day 1. It was my 5th birthday in a few days, and Resident Evil 0 had just came out, so I got that, Sonic Mega Collection, Spider-Man, and Super Mario Sunshine I ended up getting for Christmas. But I spent most time with Resident Evil 0, which terrified me, and it took me close to a year to finally finish it. And by the time I did, I was ready to roll over and die, but that cemented a love for the series, and so I got Resident Evil 4 day 1 as well as Resident 5 and 6 and everything else until Resident Evil 7. I was 18 when that game was announced, and that was a year after Resident Evil 2 Remake was announced. So initially, I resented Resident Evil 7 because everyone thought that this game had replaced Resident Evil 2 Remake. So I was livid, like every longtime Resident Evil fan was. I was majorly not happy with this game. Once we found out it was first person and was an attempt to copy Outlast, which the Outlast part I had no problem because Outlast was a phenomenal game, but once we found that stuff out, I was a little disappointed. So here comes January, and we are told there's about to be a lot of DLC. I didn't get the game initially. I waited for the gold version, and so when I finally got my hands on the game, I initially live streamed it, and this is why I say it's a Call of Duty clone, because I managed to convince people in my stream that it was a Call of Duty Zombies DLC. So that's kind of a long running joke. I don't actually think it's a Call of Duty clone. I mean, the guns in the game actually work, so of course it's not Call of Duty. My main complaints with this game is the clunky controls, the bad combat system, the horrible storytelling, as well as the enemies being extremely overpowered, at least when you don't have bullets, and finally all the why is this happening moments. If you've not figured it out already, this will contain spoilers, so let's get into it. So the controls are really clunky, at least with the PlayStation controller, as that's the only version I own, so I have not an idea how it plays on the other stuff, except PC, but my computer had issues with it, so I didn't get too far before refunding it on Steam. The controls are so bad. I mean, if you want to do anything, it's on a serious delay, and the camera moves so slow, even on the highest difficulty, which is something Capcom have always had issues with when it comes to first person. So I'm glad they learned their lesson and went third person and promised to never do first person again after the release of Resident Evil 2 Remake. On top of that, the gun controls like trash and are way too slow to be used in combat. So you end up running away instead of powering through it like a real man, pushing every boulder you come across like a real man, on one-liners worthy of an Oscar.
I've been expecting you, my brethrens.
No thanks, bro.
No way, Leon.
Way?
I've sent my right hand to dispose of you.
Your right hand comes off?
So there's 2 points why I don't like it. And now let's move on to the story. It opens up in the middle of Louisiana, Waterboy country, and Ethan is on the phone with his mate. And it's all like, yeah dude, I got, lost her 3 years. I'm gonna go pick old girl up anyways. So young Master Ethan gets there and goes to the house and is all like, hey, I don't live here, but let me break into your home and watch your movies and answer your phone calls. And I'm gonna take your daughter or mother, whatever you call my wife at this hour. So, you hang out a little bit, catch up with your girlfriend, and then you go on a nice walk a little bit, explore her somewhat new home, and then you go upstairs, answer another unsolicited phone call, and boom, she cuts your hand off. But fear not, young Master Ethan, Senor Lucas has your back. And the family puts your arm back on you and fixes you a beautiful midsummer feast, which you then decline, hurting the feelings of the old lady who made it for you, causing an argument between her and her husband, which then leads to Big Papa to want to spank you. So therefore he chases you and tries to catch you, all while being like, boy, don't you run from me now. You heard, boy, when I catch you, you're gonna wear these stripes from this switch. You gonna wish I ain't never had you. And I'm sorry, I really cannot do a country accent, but I can do something else. Anyways, fast forward a few hours and the grandma who is upset that you did not eat her dinner decides to throw stuff from inside her vagina at you, and it's at this point you realize, oh my god, I should have stayed up north in Kentucky. In the last 2 hours, I've had my wife cut my arm off, dinner made by a crazy lady, arm reattached, chased by Big Papa, witnessed an African American cop get his head cut off, had an old lady attempt sexual activities on me, and I still have not punched a single goddamn boulder. Now, let's speed up a little bit past the brewing parts, and now we come to going into the guest house, I assume, it was at least, and you go to the back stairs, and all of a sudden, you find out you're the chosen one. Like, bruh, literally 2 days ago, you were an accountant in Lexington, Kentucky, talking trash about how bad the UK football team is, and now all of a sudden, you're the chosen one, and you're the one who God chose out of everybody to be the chosen one, and you still haven't faced the ultimate task, punching a boulder. Now our boy Lucas invites you to a play date, but it turns out it's a play date of death, and you end up having to escape the birthday room, which catches on fire, so you have to punch through the wall, and at this point you begin to look at the hero, but not quite yet because it wasn't a boulder, and then you call your boy Lucas and be like, hey man, that wasn't cool, I don't appreciate it. Next up, you have to find all the ingredients to make a cure, which is conveniently right there on the property. You get to cure everybody from this disease that Zoe knew about, that she's tasking you to find the ingredients. So what was stopping Zoe from doing this herself if she knows everything so much? Why does she have to wait for an accountant from Lexington, Kentucky to come save the day? An accountant who is in so much debt, it's 2017, and he's driving a broken, beat down car from the 80s because his credit isn't good enough to lease a vehicle from Chevrolet or Toyota like everyone else in Lexington, Kentucky. I mean, we're talking about a man in Beverly Hills Polo, Walmart brand loafers, who looks like his mom is also his sister, is entrusted to save the world and create a vaccine to save his wife and a random rude lady who told him to leave because he broke into their home the first time they spoke. That is a lot of pressure on an average height, average build man from Kentucky. Fast forward 2 minutes, and now Big Papa is an octopus. So instead of running away and shooting him from a safe distance like, you know, the average intelligence person would do, Mr. Accountant over here stabs him with the cure that he only has 2 vials of, and then he has to make a decision to save his lady or the mean lady, and of course he chooses his lady, and the mean lady is very not happy about this, so they take the boat to run away from the property instead of literally walking 10 feet to the front entrance and having Ethan leave in his car. And you know, it's gonna save so much time. They could have survived and nothing would have mattered. They could have gotten in the car, left. She was cured, everything was fine. So 1 mile down the river on the boat, Ethan and Mia gets flipped by the Kraken, and now they're on the boat, and they have to get sea legs and hope for the best, which leads to Mia being infected again, and you have to kill her, ultimately meaning all of your efforts were useless. So that's me, right? So you end up in some tunnels and labs that are conveniently located under the baker's house, and as you go through, you find out the researchers gave Lucas a cure to make him immune to death and the effects of Mia, which means this whole ordeal could have been avoided, and they could have shot everyone with a cure, but here is where the what the F moments come in. In the final battle with Evelyn, you hit her with a serum you learned from the researchers could kill her, meaning they could have avoided this whole situation had they got up off their bum and done their job instead of waiting for an accountant who's in debt over his head to come and save the day. Keep in mind, this went on for 3 years, so they obviously weren't too concerned until Ethan showed up and realized, oh my god, this could turn into a PR nightmare. So all of a sudden, they had to bring out the big guns known as Chris Redfield. Yes, that's right, the guy who always saves the day in 20 minutes or less, no matter what the task is. They waited 3 years to decide that they needed him to save the day. This could have been over in a single afternoon, people, but no. And get this, all of a sudden, Umbrella is the good guys and have totally forgave the entire Redfield family for every time they have destroyed their facilities and killed Umbrella and every Umbrella employee in very malicious, very violent ways. So now, Umbrella is all of a sudden the good guys, and we know exactly what Leon is thinking in this situation.
Son of a bitch.
Now let's talk about the enemies. Literally everything kills you insanely fast. Oh, you turn the corner too fast? Too bad, Ethan's having a heart attack. Boom, dead. Run past an enemy and a single pixel touches them? I hope you like dead, because you're getting dead with a side of green beans. Oh, and you're pressing shoot? Well, let me use the health item when you have full health instead. Oh, you died? I'm sorry, I'll load you back to 2 hours ago. In conclusion, I give Resident Evil 7 a 5 out of 10. And it would have been a 6 out of 10, but you get sexually harassed by an old lady. I give the scientists and researchers and Umbrella a 1 out of 10. You could have prevented all of this, but no. You had to wait for an accountant from Kentucky to do your job for you. And wait, what's that? My girlfriend is alive, and I'm the one who's hurt, who needs immediate medical attention? I blew her head off, but I'm the one who needs immediate medical attention? What is going on in this game? This makes no sense. This is why I do not like Resident Evil 7.
Ethan?
Mia, you made it. I'm glad.
Did I?